Welcome once again to Tom's Hit Parade. It is time for the May edition of Backtracks. Seems like only last week that I recorded the April edition. Oh, who asked you? Anyway, let's just jump right into it, shall we? 55 years ago this month, in May of 1963, Bob Dylan released his sophomore album, The Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. It featured the singles Don't Think Twice, It's Alright, and Blowin' in the Wind. And that was the same month that James Brown's landmark album Live at the Apollo was released. It spent 66 weeks on the Billboard Top Pop Albums chart, peaking at number 2, and as a trivia note, it was recorded at Brown's own expense. Half a century ago, in May of 1968, The Beat of the Brass, Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass's 10th album, was released. It reached number 1 on the Billboard Albums chart, and featured instrumentals such as a cover of the Mamas and the Papas' Monday Monday, as well as Herb Alpert's only vocal hit single, a cover of Burt Bacharach's hit song, This Guy's in Love with You. And speaking of the Mamas and the Papas, that was the same month that their 4th album, The Papas and the Mamas, was released. It was their first album not to peak in the top 10, but it did feature the singles 12:30 and Dream a Little Dream of Me. 45 years ago this month, in May of 1973, the Pointer Sisters' self-titled debut album was released. It reached number 13 on the Billboard 200 chart. It went gold and featured singles such as the Willie Dixon song Wang Dang Doodle and Alan Toussaint's Yes We Can Can. Also that same month, former Beatle George Harrison's 4th solo album, Living in the Material World, hit the stores. It went gold 2 days after release. It was his second number 1 album, and it featured the single Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth. Happy 40th birthday to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' sophomore album You're Gonna Get It. It hit number 23 on the Billboard Top LPs chart and featured the singles Listen to Her Heart and I Need to Know. Also that month, Barbra Streisand released her 20th album Songbird. It featured the title track as well as her solo version of You Don't Bring Me Flowers, and it peaked at number 12 on the Billboard 200 chart. Happy 35th birthday to Reach the Beach, the second album by The Fix. It reached number 8 on the Billboard 200 charts and featured the singles One Thing Leads to Another and Saved by Zero. And speaking of Zero, that was the same month that Elton John's 17th album Too Low for Zero was released. It was his best-selling album of the 80s, spent a year on the Billboard charts, peaking at number 25, and featured his smash hit singles I'm Still Standing and I Guess That's Why They Call It the Blues. 3 decades ago this month, Vivid, the debut album by African-American hard rock band Living Colour, was released. It reached number 6 on the Billboard 200 charts. It eventually went platinum and featured the top 20 single Cult of Personality as well as the singles Middleman and Glamour Boys. This is a great album if you like hard rock, or even if you don't. I mean, it's a classic album from the 80s, just excellent. Also that same month, Melissa Etheridge's self-titled debut album was released. It reached number 22 on the Billboard 200 charts and featured the singles Bring Me Some Water, Like the Way I Do, and Similar Features. A quarter of a century ago, in May of 1993, Fishbone's 4th album was released, Give a Monkey a Brain and He'll Swear He's the Center of the Universe. It featured the singles Swim, Unyielding Conditioning, and Servitude, and it just barely cracked the top 100 of the Billboard 200 albums chart, peaking at number 99. Also that same month, Janet Jackson released her 5th album, titled Janet. It debuted at number 1 and is one of only 7 albums with 6 top 10 singles. Amongst those, That's the Way Love Goes, Again, Anytime, Anyplace, and If. Happy 20th birthday to Rufus Wainwright's self-titled debut album. There were no singles and it didn't actually chart, but it did reach number 24 on the Billboard Heat Seekers chart, and Rufus was awarded Best New Artist by Rolling Stone magazine of 1998. Also that same month, Lenny Kravitz's 5th album, 5, was released. It spent over 2 years on the charts, peaking at number 28, and featured the singles Fly Away, I Belong to You, and his cover of the Guess Who's American Woman. 15 years ago, in May of 2003, American rock band Rooney debuted with their first album, self-titled. It reached number 125 on the Billboard 200 chart, but I think it should have done way better than that. This is an awesome album. It's just got great Well, I mean, they're a California band, so it's got a great California-sounding rock mixed with a little bit of Britpop, actually. So it's just a great album. And it featured the singles Blue Side, I'm Shaken, and Sorry Sorry. Also in May of 2003 came the 12th album by one of my favorite contemporary jazz artists of all time, a band called the Rippingtons. The album is called Let It Rip. And this is just great, smooth jazz. I love it. What can I say? 10 years ago, in May of 2008, Gavin DeGraw released his self-titled sophomore album. It reached number 7 on the Billboard 200 charts and featured the singles In Love with a Girl and Cheated on Me, as well as one of my favorite songs, my favorite song on the album actually, a song called Medicate the Kids. It's about prescription drugs basically being thought of as the answer to all of our kids' problems. It's a good song. Also released that month was We Sing, We Dance, We Steal Things, the 3rd album by Jason Mraz. It reached number 3 on the Billboard 200 charts. It featured the smash hit singles I'm Yours and Lucky featuring Colby Calais, as well as Details in the Fabric featuring another one of my favorite singers, James Morrison. And happy 5th birthday to Lady Antebellum's 5th album, Golden. It was their 3rd consecutive US number 1 album, and it also reached the top 10 of the Australian, Canadian, Irish, and UK charts. It featured the singles Downtown, Compass, and Goodbye Town. And also celebrating its 5th birthday this month, Random Access Memories, the 4th album by Daft Punk. It was their first number 1 album in the US, and it also reached the top of the charts in 25 other countries. It received the Grammy Award for Album of the Year, and featured, of course, collaborations with Pharrell Williams, Julian Casablancas, Nile Rodgers, and Giorgio Moroder. That is a fantastic album, by the way. I'm sure you've heard it, but if you haven't, you got it. And onto the Spotlight albums for the month. I've actually got 2 of them this month. The first one, celebrating its 45th birthday this month, is Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield. Now, it's one of those albums that you've probably heard of, but you may not have listened to, and it's very different. It's I guess it's new age, probably before new age was a thing, but it's very interesting. It's very good for relaxing, maybe meditating. Each side is one long suite. There aren't multiple tracks. It's like basically track 1 and track 2. That's it, and just one long 20-minute composition on each side, and it's very unique. I gotta say, there's a melody that's on the foundations of the song, with other instruments kind of playing in and around it, and the melody on each side just gradually evolves over the course of the side of the 18-20 minutes, whatever it is. So yeah, it's a very unique listen, and its reputation as a kind of a seminal album is justified. It's not a hit by any means. It doesn't have hits. It's not radio friendly, but it's a unique listen. Everybody should listen to that album at least once. And also the second Spotlight album. I went through that one kind of quick just because there wasn't a whole lot to say about it really. The second album, celebrating its 35th anniversary this month, is Listen, the sophomore album by A Flock of Seagulls. Now, everybody has heard their hit single, I Ran So Far Away, but in my opinion, their probably second biggest single is the better song, I think, and that is Wishing, If I Had a Photograph of You, and that leads off this album, by the way. This is just great. I mean, if you want a textbook example of great 80s new wave music, A Flock of Seagulls is your best bet, I think. It's just great, a great album. 9 songs, I believe, on here, plus one like 45-second interlude. All the songs are great. Transfer Affection is another good one. Probably my second favorite song on the album is The Traveler. That's on side B. But yeah, I mean, just great, great synth textures on all these songs. And yeah, A Flock of Seagulls really knew their stuff. So yeah, go get this one as well as their debut album. They're both excellent. Oh, this one actually reached number 16 on both the US Billboard 200 and UK album charts, coincidentally enough. So yeah, there's a little trivia note for that one for you. So yeah, I guess that's it for Backtracks for this month. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope that gave you some albums to take a look at. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't yet. The subscribe button's right down there. And comment if you wish. What are your favorite May anniversary albums? Let me know. And again, Thanks so much for watching, and remember, life's too short to be a music snob.